So for this video, we're going to look at neckline shapes and ease removal. And again, we're going to use the Studio Faro dress block, but we're actually going to use this template because we're going to work with a front and a back, again, just down to the waist. Now these templates or dressmaking blocks have been designed with a sleeve. So the intention for this design is that there is a sleeve attached. Therefore, around the sleeve and the sleeve head and under the arm, there is a fair bit of room for movement. I mean, if you made a bodice with a sleeve that was really tight, you would find it very hard to move your arm. So there is what we call ease added into this. Now, if we're not doing a pattern or a design with a sleeve and with a high neckline, we need to remove some of that ease so we don't have gaping in the armpit or gaping around the neckline either. So that's what we're going to look at in this video. So what you're going to do is you're going to cut out a front and a back just to the waistline to begin with. Now for the first neckline, I'm going to do a camisole. So I'm going to do one that goes pretty well straight across the top and then angles under the armpit. So first thing you do is you work out whereabouts do you want your strap to fit. So usually the strap sits on the outer edge of the shoulder. Okay, and how high do you want your neckline? If you were doing this for yourself in a large scale, like a real life scale for a pattern, you could measure this on yourself from your bust point upwards and then transfer that measurement. But for us, because we're using a quarter scale, we're just going to estimate what that might look like. So I'm going to rule in the top to where I want my strap. So I'm just going to draw in where my strap would go. And I'm going to rule in, ruler moved, the top part of the neckline, making sure that this here, where it meets the center front, it is square. And then I could either do a straight angled line, like that, or I could do a slightly curved line. So for me, I'm going to do slightly curved and follow the shape of that underarm. Again, where it meets the side seam, it should be roughly square. Okay. Now, I need to do the same on the back, but I'm not ready yet because there are a couple things I need to do. And that is my ease removal. So I'm going to use another pen. Now for your ease removal, so you don't want it to gape in the armpit, you would take from your new neckline arm line shape, and again we're just estimating because we're doing a quarter scale, 1 centimeter off down to nothing at the waist. Okay, so you're keeping the size of the waist, but we're just taking in a little bit under the arm so we don't have it gaping. Now it depends what you want to do with your darts. But for me, I'm going to do a loose fitting camisole. So I'm going to cross off my waist darts. I can do that on my back as well. And I'm going to manipulate my bust dart to an underarm dart. Now again, we need to remove some ease from the original dart because we don't want to have gaping there either. Now that's going to be about 0.3 of a centimeter measured from the new neckline there down to the bust point. So again, for the quarter scale, we're just estimating. Now before I manipulate my dart, I need to think about my back, okay, because I need to blend my line here so it goes smoothly onto the back. So again, I'm going to take off that ease from the side seam. Whoops. to nothing. And then I'm going to cut out my pieces. So I've cut out my front and my back just along that ease removal line. And what I need to do is compare and line up my waistlines and my new side seams with the ease removal, because I need that new neckline and underarm line to flow. So I need to blend it from one side. So the front side seam where it joins needs to blend to the back. So I can follow that line and gently draw in a new one. But again, where it meets the center back, it has to be square. Okay, and it has to be square because if it's not square, when we cut out our pattern piece, we'll have a triangle look. So it might dip in a little bit or it might dip out a little bit. So that is our new shape. Okay, so camisole neckline, curves under the arm and then relatively straight across the back. So I can cut out those, and now I can manipulate out. We'll just cut my back one first. So again, this is a loose fitting design because I've removed the waist darts. That's my back piece. And for my underarm dart manipulation, I've got to draw in my line from the bust point to that mark. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut down one side of my ease removal line. See, I'm making the dart slightly bigger to ensure that there's no gaping in my neckline. And then I can retape that so it is closed, and I have my new underarm dart. So that is the camisole neckline. Now a couple of things we need to do is we need to again bring back that bust point about 3 centimeters. So when you do that, you go through the middle of the bust dart, mark your point and then redraw it. Now, when I closed up that dart, the shape changed, so I need to redraw my shape as well. So I still want that straight finish, so I'm going to redraw it in straight, like that. Removing that dart has made this section a little bit shorter, which helps with the gaping as well. Alright, so once you've done that, you can then go around and add on your seam allowance. Okay, so I've added in my seam allowance and my dart notches as well. Now when you do your dart notches, they're just a continuation of your dart line. And then you draw in the notch, which is like a T on the edge of the seam allowance. Okay, so that's a camisole neckline. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do a V neckline. So again, for the V neckline, we're going to cut out a front and a back. So again, to begin with, we're going to remove that ease from the underarm, so about 1 centimeter to nothing at the waist. You can do the front and the back. And then work out where you do want your strap line, where do you want the V to finish at the center front, and where do you want it to join with your strap. Okay, so again, I'm just going to roughly draw in where I want my strap to go, and I don't want my V too low. So I'm going to mark a spot above my bust point and rule a line up to where the strap is. And then again, I'm going to draw it so it curves under the armpit. So again, you're going to do exactly as you did before. You're going to take off about 0.3 off either side of your bust dart. And that 0.3 is measured at the new neckline, right? And I'm going to manipulate that again into a underarm dart. So I'm going to draw in that line ready. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut this out and then I'm going to blend my back. And again, this is loose fitting, so I'm going to get rid of those waist darts. Okay, so I've got my front and my back. I'm going to line them up at the waist and side seam, and I'm going to redraw that shape. But for this one, I'm actually going to continue the shape, the V shape. I'm not going to have a flat line. So if you're going to do that, what you would do, you can just fold that back. I want to work out where my strap is again. So if I line up my shoulders on my front and my back, I can continue that point down to where I want my strap to go. Alright, so again, lining up your waist and your side seam points, you can redraw that line. And I'm going to do a V on my back as well. Right, so there's my front and my back. Now again, I'm going to cut these out. I'm going to cut along one of those ease lines on one side of the bust dart and manipulate it into the underarm position, reshape and add my seam allowance. Okay, so to finish my V neckline, I've redrawn that section at the front, which changes shape once you pivot and manipulate that dart out to the underarm. I've reduced my bust point, I've added my notches and my seam allowance for my front and back.